Our area's most beautiful properties deserve the finest realtors. Meeks Realty Group. We focus on buying and selling residential and commercial properties throughout the tri-state area. Contact Meeks Realty Group online at meeks.us or call 304-440-1101.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. 580 Live is presented by Thornhill Automotive and is broadcast live from the Parmar Stores studio. The country, the United States of America. The state, West Virginia. The city, Charleston. This is 580 Live. And your host of 580 Live.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
Hey, folks, a good Tuesday morning to you from the Parmar Store studio. It's 580 Live, brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group and the voice of Charleston, WCHS. The boss, Dale Cooper, is our producer today. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline, 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text, 304-935-5008. 580 Live, brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group. Summertime is here, and it's time to find new roads to the Thornhill Motor Mile during their Red, White, and Vroom celebration. Celebrate with a new Silverado. Click or come by ThornhillGMSuperstore.com or on US 119 in Chapmanville. We do the show from the Parmar Store studio. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. Parmar's newest location is here. Will be open later this week. Newest location in the Kanawha Valley, 2725 Winfield Road, just off the St. Albans exit. Now, that store is actually going to open up first thing Friday morning with a big ribbon cutting being planned for the community next Tuesday, 1 week from today at 3 o'clock. Then alongside the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. And again, if there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. Lots to get to this morning. Let me start by saying a bit of a change in programming. I'd planned to have on Delegate Daniel Linville on the show this morning, not only to talk about the special session, but some things he and some others are doing, trying to get areas of Cabell, Mason, and other areas ready for the influx of all these people that are heading into the area due to Nucor in Apple Grove, and does have a tendency to happen when you're dealing with the legislature, particularly a special session. Things tend to get moved around a bit, so Delegate Linville now finds himself in a meeting this morning. But never fear, we do have a suitable replacement who won't be talking on the same subjects, but on some other things in his mind. And it's always fun to talk to him. Senator Rupie Phillips is going to get to him here in just a couple of moments. Plus, big story, of course, lots of action from the Charleston City Council meeting last night as council voted not to allow the Women's Health Center to go forward with their plans for a needle exchange program on the west side. We'll get to that a little later. Plus, we need more pluses. There were some members on the council that have been calling for an independent investigation into the Chief Tyke Hunt situation. That call for that independent investigation was also voted down by City Council last night. We're going to talk about that. Plus, there's a new outdoor drama attempting to tell the story of coal in the early days of West Virginia. We'll get to that a little bit later on as well. As you can tell, we are loaded up. Let's get right to the show. Let's bring in Senator Rupie Phillips from the state capitol this morning. Good morning, Senator. How are you?
Very good, Dave. Yourself?
I am doing fine. I can tell by the sound that you are actually at the Capitol as we speak, right?
Yes, sir. I am in my office.
I can tell by the marble hollowness of the sound there. It's day 3 of the special session. What have you been working on, particular, Senator?
Well, Dave, the state has come up with a large number of excess revenue, and if we don't make a move on it, it's all going to go into rainy day fund, and you won't be able to put the money where it needs to be. So, 1001 bill that we passing over to the House is very critical to move on all the other bills, so we can get 150 million into roads, 175 million into the to fully fund the consolidated labs and everything. I was talking to a buddy of mine last week, and he was at the medical examiner's office, and he just said, Rupert, it's like a horror film, how bad the building is, and just it needs redone. It needs moved. So hopefully, we get this $300 million in for the new consolidated labs and move forward where we're state of the art. People ain't trying to get their death certificates, that's taken a year or better to get them and get the autopsies done and everything processed faster through all the agencies that need labs.
You were talking with State Senator Rupie Phillips. Are we going to make any ground at all on corrections, Rupe?
We had corrections in Senate Finance yesterday evening, and Commissioner Marshall was there, and they've had a tough time getting people to come to work, and they're competing against state police, the county sheriffs, the city police, all the other like that. It's hard to recruit for CO1s and CO2s, and a few years ago we threw $10,000 raise to everybody, and they hired a bunch, and within a year, I forgot what the number was, but it was a lot of people that applied and went through the academy of $16,000 plus per person, and for the training. Well, then they didn't stay with jobs. Mm-hmm. So there's things that was worked out in meetings leading up to special session to try to correct that and to recruit the people that's going to stay with the correction, and hopefully get the National Guards where they're not having to come to the jails and help man fulfill the manpower that's needed for all the corrections.
Yeah, I agree with that, because that's not what they're supposed to be doing, but sometimes they're always willing to step up. Again, we're talking with State Senator Rupie Phillips. I want to pick your brain on something here. You've been in the legislature for some time. What year were you first elected to the House?
I was elected in 2010. First session was 2011, and then my last House session was 2018, and then got elected to the Senate in 20, and first session in the Senate 21.
So you served, as I said, you served in the House and later in the Senate. So you understand being in the minority as well as the majority. Now, you were originally a Democrat, but were really one of the first in the legislature to switch parties back in the day. You were kind of doing it before it was cool. I first want to ask you, I guess, about the good problems to have, I guess, and that would be the excess funds, which you've kind of covered on that a little bit. But I also want to talk about the switching parties thing. Now, as I stated, you were one of the first to do it, and now there are so many people that are fleeing the Democratic Party that it doesn't seem to be even a big deal. It hardly even makes noise anymore. I remember when you did it, Daniel Hall, some of the others did it. It was, front page stuff. Now you hear these rumors that so-and-so is switching from Democrat to Republican. It's like, it's just another day. They're all doing it. County officials are doing it. Legislators, mayors, all leaving the Democratic Party. Last week on Hoppy, Delegate Doug Scaff announced he's going to be stepping down as minority leader soon. Speculation on many fronts is he's going to switch to Republican and may even announce a run for another office, perhaps Secretary of State. About the party switches, what do you make of all this? And the reason that I ask is actually twofold, Senator. One is, why are they all doing it? But number two, there have been several within the Republican Party. While they like the numbers, some are saying that people should be wary of all these people that are suddenly switching parties. So why are they switching? And do Republicans in power need to kind of be a little bit cautious about all these people that are switching?
Well, Dave, let me go back. When I first was elected, and you being from Logan County yourself, everybody was Democrats, and we didn't really agree with the national party of the Democrats, but we were all Democrats. Our grandparents, our parents, our friends, everybody was Democrats. But when I got elected and come over here to Charleston, and I started just seeing some things and paying attention to what, they believed here in Charleston at the Capitol, and I'm like, I just shook my head a lot. And finally, when the third debate of Trump and Hillary Clinton, and, just so happened that session before, Kayla Kessinger stood up and gave a speech on a bill on dismemberment abortion, and she went step by step. And then when Trump called Hillary Clinton out on that she supports 36.5-week dismemberment abortion, and she didn't blink, that was it. I could not be a Democrat no more. I had to get rid of it. I think as far as you talking about people changing parties now, I think a lot of people just didn't want to believe what the national party was doing. I mean, you even look at the state party here now on the stuff that they're supporting, the transgender, a boy walking into a women's bathroom. I'm sorry, I got a 13-year-old daughter. You walk in on my daughter when she's in the bathroom, we got issues. So I still believe old school, and I'm not gonna change to accommodate someone else. I'm me. I'm not going to change nothing to satisfy nobody. I'm happy with what I am, and but I think the voters, that's the ones got to pay attention. The ones that are going to be changing parties, that's why they're changing. Dave, when I changed in 2016, I had no intentions of running for state senate. Mm-hmm. But that's a whole nother story within itself. But I think the voters are the ones that needs to make that decision. Is that who I want representing me in Charleston or in a county clerk's office, county commission? That's their decision. I don't think it's any elected official. This is just my personal opinion. I don't think it's any elected official to sit and cast stones at somebody if they change, because that's I've got friends that have changed, and I've encouraged some of my friends to change. So if they try to bring the same values that the Democrat Party is putting out there to the Republican Party, then that's when we got problems, and we got to pay attention to that. And again, I think that's the voters can make that decision.
Well, and you're not someone that's changed anything. I mean, I've known you since literally we were kids, and the time that you got into politics, I mean, you've always been what would be labeled a true conservative, pro God, pro guns, pro coal, checking all the boxes and then some. And I guess in talking to some of the state leaders among the Republican Party that I do from time to time, that they seem to have a little bit. It was, like I said, it was a big deal back when it was done years ago, when people like yourself and a few others did it. But now it's just people seem to be switching, and that's their right. Don't get me wrong. But there are some within the Republican Party that have told me that they have issues on everyone suddenly changing parties.
Well, Harry Keith White made a comment to me when we both were in the House, and he said Southern West Virginia Democrats are God-fearing, Bible-thumping, gun-toting Democrats. And if you give them a test and not tell them what kind of test you're giving them, they would be labeled as a conservative. Mm-hmm. And right now, the Democrat Party is not showing that they are conservatives. They're all about giving free money away. It's sad, Dave, that we have come to a society that the harder you work, the more you get punished. But if you don't get a job, I know there's some people out there that physically, health-wise, whatever, they can't get a job. Mm-hmm. And that's why, I'm all about helping people, but sometimes, Dave, you got to help yourself. And, I just had this conversation yesterday with someone. There's a reason that you see signs in parks and stuff that says, "Don't feed the bears." Well, you think about it, Dave. If we continue to give money away, what are we doing to encourage people to work?
Right.
It's like when these kids, these ball teams and cheerleading and all them, I think that's great. Sports is phenomenal. But I don't think if we just go out there and show the kids if you bum for money, then you don't have to work. I would rather see hot dog sales, bake sales, spaghetti dinners, all of this to raise the money and show the kids, put some effort in it to earn your money. And, but that's just me. Mm-hmm. That's just me, Dave.
Senator Phillips, I know you got to get back to work. Special session is going to continue today. We'll be following it, WVMetroNews.com, and Jeff and the team are on top of it. Get back to work, man. We'll talk again soon. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Senator Rupie Phillips, it's 9:22. Text says two words describe why West Virginia Democrats are turning Republican: social liberalism. The turncoats will give up their old policies of fiscal liberalism and social conservatism just to keep away from the modern Democrat Party stance of social liberalism. Seems like a majority of West Virginians want to control others' lifestyles through the government. Texas Scaff is a Democrat. Don't be fooled. He's a Democrat through and through, according to a texter. 580 Live brought to you part by QC Kinetics of Huntington and Cross Lanes. Is that knee pain of yours getting worse? I know mine is. How about the pain in your shoulders, your hips, or back? If it is, get real lasting relief without surgery, without drugs, or without downtime. Call QC Kinetics today, 304-202-5566, 304-202-5566 for QC Kinetics of Huntington and Cross Lanes. Want to get into the situation and some things that developed on that very, very long Charleston City Council meeting last night, as it has to do with needle exchange and the call for an independent investigation of the Ty Cutton situation. We're going to get in that a little bit later on. Plus, there's a new outdoor drama that is coming to Southern West Virginia, and it has to do with coal. We're going to talk with one of the people that's involved in that coming up right after this from the Parmar Store Studio. It's 580 Live, brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses live to make life better for you and your family.
You to conquer the great outdoors this summer on the Thornhill Motor Mile. The GMC Sierra has you covered. Off-road capability to conquer any terrain. Plus, select new 2023 GMC Sierra trucks available 0.9% APR. Plus $1,250 trade assist. Plus 90-day payment deferral. Plus. Well equipped with our Thornhill Value Plus warranty. Long-term coverage plus. Click or come by today at ThornhillGMSuperstore.com or on US 119 in Chapmanville and drive your summer like a pro. Must qualify for all offers through GM Financial. See Thornhill for all details.
Reckless big government policies are putting the American dream out of reach. We all know Washington is broken, but it doesn't have to be. Senator Joe Manchin could be part of the solution if he stood up for West Virginia values. Instead, he voted with Joe Biden on the Inflation Reduction Act, which led to higher taxes, trillions in new spending, and tens of thousands of new IRS agents. Tell Joe Manchin, Mountaineers want real, common sense solutions. To learn more, visit prosperityispossible.com. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
924, 580 Live, presumably part by Meeks Realty Group. Our area's most beautiful properties deserve the finest realtors. Meeks Realty Group. Visit them online, meeks.us, or call 304-440-1101. Text says the don't feed the bears metaphor should be applied to corporate subsidies, too. Where's the effort to earn money there? What the heck? I'm going to go just change it because somebody got on me for using foul language at one point. So what the heck is wrong with Rupie Phillips? He went Republican because abortion rights and needs to stay Republican because transgender people want to exist. Yet, he's all in with supporting a rapist who literally believes the VP can unilaterally choose the president, according to a texter. Anyone that knows me knows how passionate I am about coal and the history of the industry of such. Now, there's an outdoor drama being presented in Logan County, my native land, at the Liz Spurlock Amphitheater, Chief Logan State Park, this Friday through Sunday for the next 2 weekends, and it's called Coal, the story of a family in the shadow of a war. And it focuses on the early days of the coal industry, particularly things like Blair Mountain, the Blair Mountain Wars, so on and so forth. Jason McCoy is one of those involved with the production, and he joins us now via the Bigly Piggly Wiggly hotline. Jason, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dave. For the first time, I may be nervous on a phone call because it's so important to get this right.
Well, I appreciate you being here. What is your tie to the show exactly?
Well, I'm an actor in the show. I play the role of Jake Coleman. Who the story, it's about Jake Coleman and his family. Starts in about 1911 and up through 1921 in the Battle of Blair Mountain.
Mm-hmm. And the story is written, and correct me if I'm wrong, by a fantastic lady that I've literally known since I was a child because I actually went to elementary school with her daughter, Joyce Robertson. Is that right?
That is correct. And Joyce has won awards for the writing of this show. Before we ever put it on stage, she won awards for it.
Get into the storyline here about what this is all about. You mentioned it's the Coleman family. It's a fictional family, but it's about a very real subject around there. Give us the thumbnail, if you will, on the storyline.
As the story progresses, it's the story of how life was in 1911, and most of the people in and around Logan County were farmers at that time. And then you had the coal people who just, come in and bought the land and, made the promises that you can keep the land, and you can do whatever you want to with it, live here as long as you want. And then the next thing you know, they come and take the land and mine the coal.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's not indicative of the way the coal industry is today. But this is just the history of the Battle of Blair Mountain and what it was fought for. So there's no ties to any one thing. It's just a story that we're telling, and it's our history.
And I'll say this about the Battle of Blair Mountain. I don't know when they teach it now, but Jason, what I was in, what was then, you're an old guy like me. We called it junior high, but when I was in junior high, we had I think a half a semester, maybe a semester of West Virginia history, and it was taught directly from the same textbook we had there was the same textbook I'm sure that was used in Randolph County or Mon County or wherever, and it just kind of glossed over the whole Blair Mountain situation. Now, luckily, I had a teacher being from the coal fields that went above and beyond to tell us more and spent a little bit more time on it. I think the whole Battle of Blair Mountain, Jason, is something that, almost criminally is just glossed over for what it meant to America. Get into that a little bit. I know you're a history guy. Get into that.
Well, you had, if anybody's followed the life and times of Sheriff Don Chafin. Don Chafin was hired by the coal operators to make sure that the miners, after the killing of Sid Hatfield in Matewan, they marched and wanted to come through Logan to what they called Bloody Mingo to unionize the mines down here. And Don Chafin and his private army of Baldwin Felts agents, there's a line in the story that makes reference to all the buildup of stuff and supplies coming into the old Aracoma Hotel where they were setting up for this battle. And Don Chafin was quite a colorful character. There was probably nothing he wouldn't do for money. But, the old smokestack that used to be over there where the AEP property is,
mm-hmm.
They said that one fella said Don probably cried when they burnt that incinerator because of the people he could no longer take there. I mean, that's how bad it was.
Yeah.
But it's a great story, and the most important thing about this show is the kids that are involved, because in the words of the president of the Aracoma story, not everybody's a football player or a basketball player or a cheerleader. But this is one thing that the Aracoma story does, that no matter who you are or where you come from, you can come and be a part. You can learn lighting, you can learn sound, you can learn set construction, you can learn stage management. There's anybody that shows up and wants to be a part, you can be a part and we'll put you to work. And these kids have worked for weeks and weeks and weeks to get this right, to put on this show. And I would love it if some people from out of our area up into Kanawha County and further would come and see the hard work that these kids put in to put on a show and make it as good as it's going to be.
And Jason, it is worth noting that the production is being done at Chief Logan State Park in the amphitheater there, known as the Liz Spurlock Amphitheater, and that's only about an hour and a half drive or so from downtown Charleston. So it's not like you're going to the ends of the earth. And that's why Jason actually reached out to me about coming, because I know he's an avid listener of the show, but he actually reached out to me about coming on because he said, we want to try to get some people from the Kanawha Valley to make that short trip down to Logan, to one of the most beautiful places I'm a little biased, but one of the most beautiful places in the entire state of West Virginia, and that's Chief Logan State Park, the most visited daytime park in West Virginia, to make that short drive down there. What do you think, what would you like for people maybe that aren't familiar with this story, Jason? They're not familiar with it at all. They're making the trip down from, Kanawha Valley, Taze Valley, wherever, short trip down to L.A. to see this. What would you like for them to take away from it?
Embrace the history, remember the history, because sometimes we're destined to repeat it. But just embrace the history of it. This is part of West Virginia. And no matter how far you go away from West Virginia, how far away you move from Logan, you always still have a piece of Logan in you. and there's always a piece that wants to come back. And that's, everywhere I travel, I hear people who moved off and came back. This is our history. This is what made us, what got us here. And the talent that these kids have, I've met some wonderful, wonderful college kids, high school kids, middle school kids that love like there's no tomorrow. And I want people to see, I know Senator Phillips, I love him to death. He said work. And these kids work. And they don't get nothing. They don't get no pay for doing this. This is all volunteer. Mm-hmm. But this is what they love, and this is what they excel at. So aren't we kind of obligated, to, you see a kid do something and he's successful at it, attend, show them that you appreciate the fact that they're out there working. I mean, they're not sitting on a video game. They're not sitting in the house doing nothing. They're out there in this heat, working on stage, putting stuff together. Everybody's working. Mm-hmm. And I just want people to come and enjoy it, have a good time. And people who've not seen the amphitheater, I was unaware of this. The seats that the Eric Coma Story has in the stands, which we can seat about 600. Do you know where those seats came from?
Did they not come from the Atlanta Braves stadium?
No, they came from Crosley Field.
Okay, the Logan High actually came, I think, from the old Atlanta Braves stadium. I think that's what it was. So the seats there are actually, and Cooper, you're a big Reds fan, my producer Dale Cooper, these seats actually came from Crosley Field that are there. So that's worth the price of admission. All right, how much is admission, by the way, speaking of price of admission?
It's $15 for adults, mm-hmm. $10 for students, and $8 for kids.
Okay. And where can people learn more about the performance, Jason?
You can check us out on Facebook at the Eric Coma Story Incorporated. And we have, you can call our office at 304-752-0253 for advance tickets or purchase them there at the date that you come.
And again, we're only talking about, and some of that time is actually traveling through Chief Logan State Park. You're talking about, give or take, about a 90-minute drive, maybe not even that long to get down there. So those that are listening, that's why you wanted to come on the show. Those in the Kanawha Valley, you're looking for something to do. It's one of the most beautiful settings you'll ever see in West Virginia at the amphitheater there, and it's a great, great story written locally by Joyce Robertson. Get down there and enjoy. Jason, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I appreciate it. Best of luck with everything. It's going to be going on the next 3 weekends. Is that right?
That is correct. And Dave, I appreciate you very much, and couldn't thank you enough for letting us do this.
All right. We'll talk soon. Jason, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. 580 Live brought to you in part by Generations Physical Therapy, 7 convenient locations along I-64, and they are hiring for both licensed and technically trained staff. For more information, visit generationspt.com. If you get an opportunity, again, head down there and check this thing out, because it's not that far from the Charleston area. Get your church group together, get your friends, your neighbors, whatever, coworkers, go down there and check it out, because it's really a beautiful setting, and there's a lot of our history, and it's not a pretty history. That's the thing about it. This is not I've not seen the production myself, but I've read the transcripts of what they are doing. It's not pretty. It's not designed to be. That's not what it's all about. I want to get into this Charleston City Council meeting last night. Man, I tell you, this thing went on. I think it just ended, Coop, about 20 minutes or so ago. I think I was watching a lot of it online last night. But the city of Charleston will not have a new needle exchange program. And something else that also came out of the city council meeting last night is there were members of council that were asking for an independent investigation into the Tyke Hunt situation. Chief of Police Tyke Hunt. That's not going to happen either. So I'm going to get into all that here in a couple of moments. I do want to remind you that 580 Live is brought to you in part by Pinnacle Consultants, the only accredited commercial lab in West Virginia for asbestos and mold. Asbestos was banned in some building products, but it isn't banned for all products in the U.S. So don't expose your family or workers to asbestos, mold, or lead paint. Get with Pinnacle Consultants. They offer real estate environmental assessments for hazardous materials and air quality too. Visit pinnaclecorp.net, pinnaclecorp.net, because what you don't know can hurt you. I want to hear from you on this needle exchange thing in Charleston. You can call us up, Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline, 304-345-5858, or you can text in, courtesy of the folks at Fruth Pharmacy, at 304-935-5008. Back after this from the Parmar Store studio, 580 Live, brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group and the voice of Charleston, WCHS.
By the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses want to thank you for supporting local small businesses.
Elevators. You take them for granted until they let you down. If you're working to maintain a stellar reputation, then let me introduce you to DC Elevator. We want to work with you to make sure your people get where they are going. What could be better than a new company coming to the area and already having 45 years of experience? DC Elevator is bringing a new culture of elevator maintenance, repairs, modernization, and installation to West Virginia. Don't leave your people hanging. For a free consultation, call DC Elevator at 304-345-7222.
Does your knee pain keep getting worse? How about that pain in your shoulder, your hip, or your back? Don't let them tell you steroids and surgery are your only option. Take my advice and call QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Dave Allen. QC Kinetics can make that pain go away with all natural advanced regenerative medicine. They're helping people here every day with these amazing natural treatments that restore and repair damaged joint tissue. It's like turning back the clock. Regenerative medicine uses concentrated healing agents from your own body to stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so they can work like they're supposed to, and there's zero downtime. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting medical breakthrough. Patients here are getting real lasting relief and are saying no to surgery and drugs. If you have pain due to injury or arthritis, this is a remarkable option that you need to check out, and the consultation's free. Call QC Kinetics of Huntington and Cross Lanes for your complimentary consultation. 304-202-5566. 304-202-5566.
Thrive with 5 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Poca Valley Bank. Poca Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 5%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by a Poca Valley Bank location today or call 844-782-2651. Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield. Subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Poca Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
21 minutes away from 10. Phone calls to 580 Live, a service of Biggly Piggly Wiggly. When shopping at your Biggly Piggly Wiggly, be sure to join their loyalty program. You can save big at the gas pumps and throughout the store with their electronic coupons and free gifts on Fridays just for stopping by. From farm to table, Biggly Piggly Wiggly, the best kept secret in Charleston. Texting services provided by Fruth Pharmacy, your hometown family pharmacy. I wanted to get into something else here. I've got way too many notes here. Okay. So we're going to get the city council thing here in a couple of moments. I got several texts I want to get to as well. Programming note, though, the ink is now dry on the contract on this very show 1 week from today. For the entire show, I'm going to have as my guest in one quarter State Democratic Party Chair and Delegate Mike Pushkin, and on the other side, State Republican Party Co-Chair Tony Hodge. This is going to be good, folks. I'm giving them the entire show with the occasional interruption from me and, of course, you, the listeners, via callers and texts and so on and so forth. It's going to be great. I think it's going to be must-listen-to radio. Both guys wanted this, and they both reached out to me, and, I think Pushkin was actually the one that said, I would like to debate Tony Hodge on the air. Tony Hodge says, I'll do it, and I've gone back and forth trying to get a date. That's been the only thing, simply because, you forget that outside the world of politics, Mike Pushkin is a delegate. He is the State Democratic Party chair, but he also has a full-time job. Tony Hodge is the co-chair of the Republican Party in the state of West Virginia, but he also has a full-time job. So trying to get with both guys could take a little time off work to be here has been kind of a struggle, but we got it, Coop. Next week, 1 week from today, no other guests scheduled, just Hodge v. Pushkin on the air, and of course we want feedback from the listeners, the callers, texters as well. So that's going to be coming up next Tuesday. We'll start at 9:07, go all the way through top of the hour. It's going to be good. I think it's going to be fun. I really, really do. 580 Live is brought to you part by your hometown baseball team, the Charleston Dirty Birds. After a long road trip, the Birds are back at home tonight to take on Lexington. In fact, the Birds will be at home all the way through the weekend. Lexington's up first, followed by High Point. Tonight is African American Heritage Night, and along with that will be half-price beer beers, buy one, get one free hot dogs, another Truly Tuesday, and baseball bingo sponsored by AARP. If you need tickets, Dirty Birds gear, promotion schedules, and more, visit dirtybirdsbaseball.com. Text says, Dave, what is a conservative today? Anti-military, anti-women, anti-law enforcement, anti-constitution, and anti-democracy. Sounds to me like an anti-freedom bunch. We'll get into that on another time. I don't know if that's a reference to January 6th. I'm not sure about that. Legislature, says a texter, so glad they passed a sweeping foster care reform bill so quickly in the special session, recognizing how important it is to thousands of children and their families in the state. Oh, wait, they didn't. Must not be important to them, says a texter. Texter says, still plenty of beer, wine, liquor, and CBD on the west side. God forbid we help addicts, according to a texter. Texter says, that coal show makes me feel uncomfortable and that my coal baron family is to blame, whereas the Republican West Virginia legislature with its thought and viewpoint control when you need them. Okay. All right. Text says, can you tell where I am mentally, Dave, as a listener, when I hear the guy on the line say, you always have a piece of Logan in you, and I said to nobody, that's assault. To best listeners and texters in the world. All right, the Charleston City Council last night, a long meeting for sure, but in the end, the proposal from the Women's Health Center of West Virginia on a new needle exchange program on the west side has been voted down. The vote was 9-4 and 17 against. Story posted by Jared Lewis at WVMetroNews.com. The health center had applied for a syringe service program license. Now, let's go back a little bit. You recall that the legislature passed a rule basically trying to curtail some of these needle exchange programs around the state, syringe programs, whatever you want to call them, by basically making them, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, making them jump through some hoops. They had to do some stuff to be able to do this, including public meetings, which they had, and also having the sign off of the local city councils, and eventually to the county commission. And I was watching the meeting online last night, and it was pointed out that even had Charleston City Council voted for this last night, it still had to go before the county commission. And there was no guarantee that it was going to happen there. Well, it didn't make it out of City Council last night. Now, the folks at the Women's Health Center say it would just be a part of their ongoing harm reduction programs. Council at the meeting last night allowed 10 people to speak, 5 for it and 5 against it. So they limited the number of people speaking, which, I mean, again, I was told, and by listening to Jared Lewis this morning, I think they spent somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2.5 hours just on this last night, just on this subject alone. So that was the reason for the limiting of the speakers. There was actually a motion to allow for more people to speak, but that was rejected by council. Of course, that public hearing was held a week and a half or so ago. That was held at the Goodwill Prosperity Center. So not only the public spoke at this thing last night, but several council members did as well. Of course, it was the same argument that you always hear for those for and against. Those for it, saying it will cut down on disease, including the big one, hepatitis C, while those against it have a variety of reasons too. Mainly, one of those is they simply don't want it in their backyard or around their places of businesses. There was at least one business owner that I saw on the video last night on the stream that spoke out against it, and another person spoke, I guess, as a spokesperson, if you will, for yet another business, talking about the issues that they have had in that area. Other people talked about not wanting to have these programs around schools, and the fact that you are doing nothing but encouraging more illegal activities. And that was kind of the point that I made on the show last week. I like the comments that were made by, I think it was Councilmember Pat Jones, who said that perhaps the city should be looking into bringing in the DEA or task force officers to help with the problem. Because, make no mistake about it, the problem is out of control in Charleston. But it's not just out of control in Charleston. There's more attention on Charleston because it's the state capital. But there's problems with this in St. Albans. There's problems with this, and it was brought out in the meeting last night. People talked about St. Albans. They talked about Marmot. They talked about Rand. Some of these other places where there are a lot of problems. But, in all fairness, there's always going to be a bigger spotlight on the city of Charleston because it is the state capital. It's the largest city in West Virginia. So that's just part of it. Councilman Larry Moore was another no vote. Councilman Moore, of course, is a West Side guy and now represents that area that he grew up in. He says that he supports harm reduction, but not actual needle exchange programs. They're not necessarily the same. This Women's Health Center was already doing harm reduction programs, but they wanted to be able to do more with needle exchange. So harm reduction, and although the two terms are kind of interchangeable at times, they're not exactly the same thing. Harm reduction can involve a number of things that don't necessarily involve the distribution, the exchange, what have you, of needles. Now, on this very show yesterday, Mayor Goodwin said that she would be a no vote. And she was, because in city council, according to the rules and regs of the city of Charleston in their charter, the mayor does get a vote. And she surprised some people, including myself, on the show yesterday, on the Mayor Monday segment that she does once a month with us, where she came out and said, as of right now, as of yesterday, I will be a no vote on this. And she was, citing mainly the location. That was the issue that she had. So that's it. I mean, it's done. And I said my piece on it last week. So you know pretty much where I stand on it. Of course, I got raked over the coals for it. One guy on Twitter even calling out the sponsors of this show because of my stance. But that's all. I just appreciate people listening. And obviously they were listening to the mayor on the show yesterday because the same person also mentioned that on the Twitter machine yesterday. So I've said my comments on it. You know where I am on needle exchange programs across the board. No need to rehash that. I will leave the rest to you. You can text me, Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline, 304-345-5850. That's a call-in number. Or the text line from Fruth is 304-935-5008. 580 Live, presented in part by Hudson's Pizza. This month, get a large 18-inch pepperoni pizza and an order of cheese sticks, only $21.99 for locations. To place an order or for delivery, visit Hudson'sPizza.com. Got the text line lit up and ready to go. We'll get to it right after this. From the Par-Mar Store Studio, 580 Live is brought to you by the Thornhill Auto Group on the voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you looking for a technical job in the medical field? Generations is growing and looking to add on job-trained physical therapy techs to our rehab team. To apply, visit one of our 7 convenient locations or simply click on us at generationspt.com.
Hey, it's Dave Allen for Par-Mar Stores. Ah, yes, summertime. From the ballparks to the pools to the backyard barbecues to vacation or just hanging out at the house, chances are you're going to run out of something. And when you do, visit your local Par-Mar store. From gas to groceries and all the other stuff you need, Par-Mar has you covered. Download the Par-Mar app for even more savings and sign up for the rewards card. Par-Mar is the official convenience store of Marshall University and the official store of the West Virginia Schools Activities Commission. Happy summer, and remember, if there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Unsure you're ready for retirement? That's understandable. After all, you only retire once. Make the smart choice and call 4th Avenue Financial. If it deals with retirement planning, you can be confident they have the experience you need. Retire right with 4th Avenue Financial. Go to 4thavenuefinancial.com or call 304-746-7977 to book your free introductory meeting today.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Incorporated, JW Cole Financial, JW Cole Advisors, and 4th Avenue Financial are unaffiliated entities.
People sometimes may wonder why they need a big law firm after their injury. Imagine you're on your way to work and then, bam, your whole life changes. Life can be shattered in a moment. When that happens, know that America's largest injury law firm is here for you. When it comes to law, size matters. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Office 222 Capitol Street, Charleston. Cases will be handled by West Virginia licensed attorneys. The attorney in this ad is not licensed in West Virginia.
Reckless big government policies are putting the American dream out of reach. We all know Washington is broken, but it doesn't have to be. Senator Joe Manchin could be part of the solution if he stood up for West Virginia values. Instead, he voted with Joe Biden on the Inflation Reduction Act, which led to higher taxes, trillions in new spending, and tens of thousands of new IRS agents. Tell Joe Manchin, Mountaineers want real, common sense solutions. To learn more, visit ProsperityIsPossible.com. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
9:52. Getting ready to paint the capital city green as the Marshall University Quarterback Club of Charleston and Ball Toyota present the annual Paint the Capital City Green event this Thursday night, 6 at the Bill No Flight School at West Virginia International Yeager Airport. Steve Animal from our sister station 98.7 The Mountain, and I will be serving as the MCs for the evening. For more information, visit, or a call, I should say, 304-696-4661. Text says the DEA, how'd the war on drugs work out for marijuana, cocaine, crack, heroin, meth, opioids, and alcohol? That's not an unfair statement. The war on drugs was a colossal failure. That's not an unfair statement. Text says, Dave, why is it always a celebration for the African-American population? How about a celebration of the European population, Native Americans, etc. at Go-Mart Stadium? Too much to say the least. Thanks, Dave. According to a texter, that's in reference to the Dirty Birds tonight having African-American Heritage Night. Text says, folks made the same argument, talking about needle exchange, about giving away free condoms that would encourage people to have more sex. Newsflash, folks still have sex without condoms and still use dirty needles if they dine. If they don't, if they don't have clean ones, according to a text. Well, I don't disagree with that statement either, but I think the issue that a lot of us have is that you're still talking about doing an illegal activity, and that it has to do with illegal drugs, and that you are furthering that and basically saying, okay, they're going to do it no matter what, so let's make it safe. Some of us just can't wrap our heads around that. Tex, so disappointed that you didn't press the mayor yesterday when she went Karine Jean on you yesterday and parsed her words on an investigation in regards to Chief Hunt. The media continues to give their former cohort a pass. Well, she was never a cohort of mine. Never. I mean, she was in the media, but I did not know the mayor at the time. Elsewhere, last night at City Council, it looks like there will not be an independent investigation into the Charleston Police Chief Tyke Hunt incident. Councilperson Shannon Snodgrass was one of those that was asking for it. She talked about it at length on this show last Thursday, in fact. The vote was 21-5 to reject the resolution that would have called for an outside investigation into that whole situation. The chief admitted to and apologized in a public statement for the incident that happened last year where he had invited a woman to his office after hours. Now, you recall the mayor suspended Chief Hunt for 3 days without pay in June of 2022. That suspension came down after the internal investigation. City Attorney Kevin Baker said last night during the council meeting, as he had said on this show a few weeks back, that the investigation into Chief Hunt was done pursuant to the city's HR policies. And as Jarrett Lewis's story points out, WVMetroNews.com, only the mayor can remove or discipline the chief of police. Now, Kevin Baker went on to say that he doesn't believe the Professional Standards Division should be investigating the chief of police, since in effect they operate under the chief of police, because many people had asked why it didn't go that route. Councilperson Shannon Snodgrass repeated at the meeting last night what she'd said on this show last week, and very, very passionate statements. If you go back and you listen to the meeting, and we included her statements on all of our stories this morning. You can go online and listen to those, I'm sure. She repeated that she's asking for someone, perhaps even the governor's office, to get involved in this situation. Another council member, Pam Burka, spoke, saying that people in positions of power should be held to a higher standard. While another council member, Bruce King, called the resolution, quote, ridiculous. This was the resolution that was called upon to ask the city to get an independent investigation. Councilmember King referred to the resolution as ridiculous and asking who exactly it would be to investigate that situation. And he pointed out, did Councilman King, that this relationship between Chief Tyke Hunt and this lady appeared to be consensual. In fact, the woman in question here, to my knowledge, has never said anything other than that it was consensual. And there's been no allegations of crimes being committed or harassment or whatever. So that's pretty much, I guess, the end of the story. I have a feeling that some of the council people, like Shannon Snodgrass, are probably not going to let this go. And I'm not saying they should. They feel strongly about it. That's their right to continue to pursue it. I don't know that the governor's office is going to get involved in this situation. Again, Tyke Hunt, the chief of police, Tyke Hunt, was suspended without pay for 3 days. And according to the city, that seemed to be enough. Now, there are those, again, on city council and people in the community as well, outside city council, that think that wasn't enough, that it shouldn't be allowed to just go away that simply. And but it appears that it is going to go away that simply. Text says there never is an independent investigation of rank and file police either. Councilmember Snodgrass argues the professional standards division rules should apply. Guess what? The professional standards is within the Charleston Police Department. That's kind of what I pointed out earlier. Yeah, the professional standards, as best I understand, answer to the chief of police. And the only person that the chief of police answers to, and the only person that can discipline or fire or suspend or whatever a chief of police in Charleston is the mayor. And she opted to go with a 3-day suspension without pay. So that's where they are. We'll close with this. If you're one that comes into Charleston a lot, you probably noticed over the last couple of months, I should say, the purple bags over the parking meters. Actually goes back a couple years to the pandemic. Those bags signify those spots are reserved for curbside pickups for restaurants and shops. Well, there are about 25 of those around the city. They're going to be going away after Labor Day. So people that have just been pulling in and putting on their hazard lights anyway to run in, as one business owner said, you don't have to worry about that anymore because apparently those are going to be going away after Labor Day. They replaced, of course, the meters during the pandemic. All right, gotta go. Thank you to Senator Rupie Phillips for being here, and also thank you so much to Jason McCoy from the production of Cole for being here as well. Coming up on the show tomorrow, State Economic Development Director Mitch Carmichael is going to be on the show tomorrow. Plus, we're going to talk a little bit about Girls' Night Out. Hoppy coming up. Follow the news of the day, WVMetroNews.com, WCHSNetwork.com, and on social media as well from our producer, Dale Cooper. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Till then, have fun and love somebody.
WCHS AM 96.5 FM Charleston, 104.5 Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here too.